Here we go for another Towards the Sun edition, special edition with yours truly, over time, every time, Rainbow Dragon artist, athlete, philosopher. Just did a coffee with Dragon session and now we're off. We're just gonna turn and see if there's anything in the community fridge and we're off towards the sun, the S-U-N, the king, the sun. Hot day today. We're gonna go overtime every time and we're gonna go check it out right there. Cross the street prudently, please. Be prudent, cross the street, turn your heads left, right. Make sure that when you cross the street, you cross it prudently and get it on the go for the LYZ, and that's what we're gonna get doing with the LOV, you know. Here we are, a little bit of soup. Somebody left a little bit of soup for somebody. I'm gonna leave it for somebody, and there's some soup there, 50%. What is it? I don't know what it is. It's still good. April 1st. It's a little bit of soup with that. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but nonetheless, that's what we gotta get doing on that, and that's what we're gonna see here. How beautiful it is. Isn't it just beautiful for that XYZ? Nice. I'm gonna leave the soup for somebody else. So that's a beautiful thing we have right there, community fridge, and people give that donation. So that's how we're gonna get going towards the sun. 6 p.m. EST. 6 p.m. EST. We're gonna go heading on that. See from my neighborhood, Montreal, Hawk Island, Island of the Hawk, HAWK. Always grateful. I'm still fighting my cold. Kind of was sick over the weekend. I blew my nose so many times and thinking I've never blown my nose such. I said my brain, plasma of my brain's being regenerated, recreated, that androplasticity on that one, but whatever the case may be, still a little bit on that sick side, a little bit on that throat. So I decided to, of course, today I did a lot of work at home, and always grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and always for the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, 24/7, that rock and roll for them as we go on the north, towards the north side now. And I did 2 loads of laundry. Gotta be grateful, thankful. 2 loads of laundry, and got that laundry done. Did laundry, and that's about it for the laundry machine. And I'm grateful, thankful for the washer and the dryer. Thank you to my anonymous friend. If I make $1 million, gonna give half. If I make $1 billion, gonna give half, 50%. And I'm gonna go all the way rock and roll. It is April 3rd today, April 3rd. Quite a end of the economic, financial, commercial order for the time being as we know it, with the universal imposition of tariffs by Donald Trump. And it has been, is, and will be since 2018 Dragon versus Trump event. I have been N.A.U and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match, and a Canadian who is born this Quebecer Canadian who was born in the United States 3 times post 1776, served in the U.S. Army twice. Once was born as a woman. I was born 3 times in the USA post 1776, and I'm a Quebecer Canadian, North American, and the dream is a public-private partnership, Canada, United States, joined for the establishment of the Concordium Dragon Army, public-private partnership Dragon Army. For SSD, only got to write Dragon Army, Dragon Legion, Spiritual Allegiance, got to write SSD. For a whole hour on pages, on everywhere you write, you type SSD, Security Service and Defense, SSD, Security Service and Defense, SSD, Security Service and Defense. And of course I'm financially stressed myself, but grateful, thankful my rent's paid my electricity bill, and it's April 3rd, got food and got some coffee to go, got that new coffee. I did a little bit of a meditative session, did some laundry, did some cleaning, so a little bit of email work, slow on the work. I'm always open for business, you know. I've been stressed financially, but financial stress aside, you gotta live austere, severe as I do. I have been and am, and just love a little bit of wafers. And paradoxically, my Trinity of theory is best for where we are now. Where we are for this day today on the April 3rd, 2025, on this beautiful sunny day. It's abnormal temperatures by a few degrees. It should be around 7, 8. I think we reached 16 degrees, so I'm curious if we broke a record for April 3rd, because it really feels hot. At one point, kind of now when I got out, it kind of feels a bit like even summer, you know, like that June, you know, June, mid-June, or even July type of temperature, you know. Some August, a little bit of August, it could be August as well. Maybe it reached 20 degrees. I mean, actually with the wind, it's really, in my opinion, of course, I don't have in my mind all the temperature statistics, but nonetheless, I'm gonna wait here. Oh, thank you for giving me priority. There's a stop sign there, but I always double check, turn my head left or right before I cross the street, you know, because you never know, the cars might press the citizen driver might press the accelerator instead of the brake, so we gotta get that double prudence for security, service and liberty, you know, my security, my liberty, theirs here in the public, you know, as well. I was secured in public, and I got added responsibilities, duties, and obligations, which under the normal circumstances of life would have not been the same. If I would have stayed in my underground room up in Temple, I would have had added responsibilities, of course. When you go online, it's always a public and the private interaction, eh? The internet, it's always a public-private affair, public and private, because part of on the internet, when you are, you know, as a citizen, you have your privacy, but you also go in the public spheres. YouTube, I'm putting this on the public, you know. Part of it is private, because YouTube, of course, is formulated and owned, and the stock market and speculative affairs and tech affairs and all the gizmo behind it, you know, and people working for the videos to maintain the servers. And in this life, you know, I'm an Asperger, I have Asperger's, I'm neurodivergent, so my main field of knowledge and wisdom and understanding is geopolitics, right? So in a parallel life, I design, build supercomputers, ICBM rockets, microchips, and of course satellites and servers and everything to do with phones, smartphones. But right here, I know my trinity of theories and geopolitics, that the point is that today I'm not only celebrating 5 years since I survived COVID, back of course in 2020 in February, March, but I'm also marking more than 5 years since I predicted an international conflagration, aka World War III. I predicted the current situation that's unfolding now back in 2019. I always take to that because I take great pride in my work, although I am neurodivergent. My neurodivergence is part of me having and living with a condition known as Asperger's, being an Aspie. It is our brains, Aspie brains are made different. So we cannot, it's hard for us to process and totally understand and fully implement certain protocols of communication, communication protocols, for example, personal space. You know, an Aspie, a person with Asperger's might get so close by 2 inches, 3 inches, and very close to the face, and breach the personal space. So that is part of the Asperger's condition, and being that our brains are different. So the structure of an Asperger brain is just made different. So I live with this condition. I'm being a part, of course, of this tiny minority of citizens, of people with Asperger's, you know, who are less than 1%, less than half of a percent. About 0.44% of the population of the world has this neurological mental divergent condition known as Asperger's, and I'm one of them, one of those very few, not so many people who live with Asperger's, and that's all. And here I gotta turn my left and right and head. And of course, I take great pride in my work as an independent geopolitical theoretical honest enthusiast, and I always make the statement again that first and foremost, of course, I have predicted what's happening now, and first and foremost, our main interest as Canadians, Quebecers, Canadians, myself included, is to have the best, cordial, most possible, best relations, economic, financial, military, with the United States. And once that is established, just in geopolitics, that's a constant for us. So there's, regardless of other things considered sentimentality and emotions, and as much as one might not personally like Donald Trump, myself included, I'm not a fan. I would have voted for Biden, Kamala, and I always say the way to invite us is not the way, and I hope he reprieves and says, I'm sorry I made a mistake. What was I thinking? Tariffs on Canada. I should have baked some pies across the 50 states to invite my fellow Canadians properly to join us, the Union, the 51st state, in a proper manner, right? With some good partying, with some good loving, with some good partying and loving, and the such manners, which of course are the good ways of the world, in order for us to do and maintain this relationship. But vice versa for my brothers and sisters in the USA as well. The USA, the main interest is to have the best relations with us Canadians. So it's vice versa, it's reciprocal, and that's a constant. But it goes both ways. It's not like in other countries, in other geopolitical regions and spheres and continents where there's a multitude of nation states, interacting and forming alliances. That's why at this point in time, it's best my way to fuse Canada and the United States, get rid of the border and do a census, a great Canadian North American census, create the currencies, and it's implement my Trinity of theories and the new 911 protocols for SSD, Dragon Army, SSD, Pledge Your Allegiance, and you're gonna love a little bit of those cadence, but now I'm in the public, I'm gonna roll loud, LOUD, those cadences, military dragon cadences more when I'm on the mountain. If I start here now, I might disturb the peace of certain citizens with the youth, and we're playing with the children and my fellow citizens, family here, aunties and nephews, and all the great Quebec and Canadian North American family here, my brothers and sisters in the USA as well, because I consider our family coast to coast, ocean to ocean. But that's what we're gonna go play, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. And then I always gotta turn my head. There's a stop sign. Yeah, there's a stop sign on both sides. And you gotta be careful, because sometimes the stop sign, doesn't. This brake might malfunction. The brakes, see, the brakes can potentially malfunction. If the brakes malfunction, that's a little bit of a problem. If the citizen by mistake presses the accelerator instead of the brakes, so we always gotta get for security, safety, because in the public, it's always a public-private as an individual, with Asperger's myself, being that I'm, we're very much considered very weird, eccentric, and strange, and we're less able, I would say, not necessarily disabled or have a disability in the sense in the normative neurotypical brain, how it functions to view the ability versus disability. But yes, I'm less able in certain circumstances. I'm myself mediocre, average, and so. But now when it comes to dancing being my favorite sport, and I created a workout training program system consequently to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario based on half geopolitics and half being a fan of sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity, and gridiron, North American football, NFL, CFL, Canadian Football League, and hockey and basketball and baseball. Baseball not that much, but I still love the sports, whatever sports, fitness activity, boxing, and let's build that North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border. It's super important to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, and 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. Caesar Superdome, they changed the name. It used to be known as Mercedes-Benz, and before that had another name, just like yours truly turned that A into an O. It was where the sports event, major sports events, and 7 Super Bowls, seven Super Bowls were held there. 7 Super Bowls were held there, so that's why they gotta go with that. So that's why they're gonna go with XYZ, so we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, So it's the Super Bowl, and that's what we gotta get doing with the XYZ, so it's something which we gotta be mindful on the go, that we gotta get the protocols of which to build the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, a sports complex that's 11 times bigger than the one where the hardball ball was played. The hardball ball was played, one of my favorite Super Bowls, known as the blackout ball. And here I am marching towards the sky. A little bit of that sun, get a little bit of that good sun in me. So encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, and let's build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the stadium, which of course was known as is known as the Caesar Superdome, Caesar's Superdome. And of course, it is a great complex, and we need to build one on the Canadian-US borders, 11 times bigger for sports in perpetuities, where of course, me and Donald Trump is going to be the first event is going to be me fighting Donald Trump, and again back to geopolitics, and going to discuss it again on the go. And again, I had predicted what's happening now in a general matter in 2019. I got proof of work, and I take great proof of work, and that's what I get, taking on that great proof of work with that. And we got to go on the love that part's here, and so we got to get doing and make sure we cross the streets safely, because there's a stop sign there, so they got to stop there, It's gonna get on that stop, man. You never know, the brakes malfunction, the car keeps driving, and then you're getting on that hit side with that. And that's what we're gonna go getting on the love, you know. So it's something which we gotta get for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the grocery store clerks, and all involved in the production and distribution of food. And that's how we gotta get on that appellations, man. Get that drills, Dragonomic, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, cake, cadence, creating that rock and roll on the daily, being also an artist. So it's always freestyle, always, of course. The way that we Aspies communicate, sometimes seemingly a bit on the strange, more peculiar, more weird side, but we have our strengths, and especially our strengths revolve around those special interests, which in theory, they're very special, in the sense that to the point that another appellation is obsessive interest, but obsessive has a more negative connotation than obsession, while Aspies have to be supported in those peculiar and specific narrow interests. Usually there's about 3. So mine is geopolitics, and sports and fitness, and specifically dancing. Dancing is my favorite sport, and rock and roll with that. Rock and roll. So I work in those fields. I study, I read, I study, revolving those, pretty much those 3. So that's how we gotta go doing, and that's how we gotta get doing on the love, you know. So today, post-liberation day, April 2nd, I guess, the world got hit, Trump style, a little bit of a left, right, jab, left, right. No matter what we say, again, at the end of the day, you know, the reality, the geopolitical reality is that fundamentally, in essence, as Canadians, our primary interest is to have the best, cordial, best relations economically, financially, commercially, militarily, security, in all aspects with my brothers and sisters in the 50 states. I don't know about that 51st state. I would love to see Trump say, well, listen, I made a mistake. I really love Canada. I think Canada should be 51st state, and make some fusion and fuse. I believe my way of fusing Canada and United States best. The North, through strong and free, needs to have some love. My brothers and sisters also. Home of the brave, land of the free, is also a little bit of love and justice in it. And justice in it, right? Because my brothers and sisters, fellow Canadians, the king is absent. He's 40 plus million. And of course, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, that event made me change my whole life in 2017. Before that, I was depressed and suicidal. And of course, the king is absent. I didn't like the pledging of the allegiance to the king. Salut, ça va? Faites quoi?
Bien, c'est pour l'NDP. On fait juste passer pour ta porte et parler avec du monde.
OK. Ouais. Ben, moi, j'ai juste une chose. Moi, là, j'aime pas vraiment que, tu sais, nos chefs prêtent allégeance au roi. Ouais. Au roi.
OK.
Tu sais, le roi, là.
Ouais, je comprends.
Parce que je viens de voir Marc Carney, puis j'ai vu qu'il y a... Tu sais, on a encore ça dans notre système, là. C'est le temps d'enlever ça, là.
Ouais, honnêtement...
C'est le temps, là.
Je pense que ça va être du temps avant que ça change, mais...
Non, c'est le temps, là, parce que... Prêter allégeance à 9 millions de Québécois, puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre, tu sais, ou comme Québécois canadiens moi-même, tu sais, comme les 40 plus millions, j'aimerais qu'on finisse avec le prêter serment au roi puis ses descendants.
Ouais, c'est vieux, hein, c'est vieux, ouais. Mais ça, c'est le candidat, au moins.
OK. Ben ouais, mais il faut finir avec ça, là, c'est fini, ça. Le roi est là de l'autre bord, là. Il viendra pas... Il viendra pas vous défendre s'il y a une invasion.
Oh, non,
ça va être moi qui va te défendre, mon cher, qui va aller prendre des armes pour te défendre. C'est pas le roi Charles qui va te descendre ici. Je veux rien savoir, hein. Salut. That's it, that's all. So a little bit for the vote there, but that's what it is with that. And you know, it's like I said, I had a little bit of things which I do say, you know. I do say that. Thank you, Mercy. That I do say, of course, that we still pledge allegiance to the king, you know. And I always say that gotta go. I say that gotta go. It's time for the republic. The king is absent, so that's what I spoke a little bit in the French. So I'm not gonna vote. I'm gonna boycott the elections officially. So I would candidate myself. I don't have the financial means. I'm financially stressed. And independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist with my dream, which is fundamentally a public-private partnership call for the establishment of new institutions, two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions. But our leader, sworn in Prime Minister after 9 years of Justin Trudeau, much love to my cousin Justin Trudeau, because Mark Carney is, I guess, part of my family as well, since a Quebecer Canadian, but pledging allegiance to the king and his descendants. The king is absent. The king is absent. The king is absent. It's time for the Republic. It's time for the North American people's Imperial Coliseum. It's time for the North and the South and here in the free world, in the new world, the new North American collective to fuse and integrate and rebuild our North American structures, our infrastructures, our buildings, and also the ghettos. That's the deal we're gonna have to make, me and you, Donald Trump, and any other president of the United States. We have to rebuild the North American Imperial. We're gonna have to rebuild the North American inner urban cities, aka the ghettos of Canada and the United States. We're gonna have to mass finance in that and mass finance that Rehabilitation Act, North American Rehabilitation Act, and implement my Trinity activities, create the Dragon Army, public-private partnership, implemented and cooperative with all institutions that currently exist. That is the dream. So the king is absent. The king is absent, you know. So that's, I thought I was gonna get by that side, but it sounds like it's a stadium here. So being that the king is absent, and here it's the election season, I guess, and it's gonna have speeded up, and I'm gonna take a look at the platform, you know. I'm just gonna, because I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, so I do have to check what's up. So the riding is for my big borough, for Montreal. Montreal is a big island, 2.5 million people, but we got NDG and Westmount. So the riding is NDG Westmount. NDG Westmount, NDG. But we're not part of Westmount, really. My side is Côte des Neiges, my old neighborhood where I used to live in a moldy, underground moldy place. And that underground moldy place, of course, I left. It was a lot of course, mold, white mold, red mold, greenish mold, and of course I moved from over there, from a moldy place, and I've of course suffered, struggled to live with my scars, and that's where my memory kind of go before that kind of gets that RA retrograde amnesia, kind of like blackout, you know, kind of like a blackout of that memory with it. So that's what sometimes it comes back, maybe COVID, which I had in COVID. That's why I always say that it's important to maintain, upkeep the public hygiene. You know, when you go tap those bank record, when you go in the ATM machine and you put those fingers in your tap, imagine the hygiene before, how many people were. So in the public, I love to keep the public hygienic protocols. The public hygienic protocols, which of course we have to keep, and I gotta give some LOV to the construction workers. When I see buildings like this, construction workers on steel toes going up and down those cranes, we've got a crane fed, there's the bus drivers, public workers, and we gotta get it for that total integration, the CIT, citizen integration theory, based on my formulations and philosophies, which are mainly geopolitical oriented and mainly North American centric. For the collective North American civilizational complex, for the complex of the North American civilization, for North America, for the firefighters right there. Salute firefighters and bus drivers, postal workers, daycare workers who change some of those diapers, the grocery store clerks, warehouse workers, and ambulance drivers, IT workers, plumbers, and the electricians. Yeah, that's what we gotta pledge allegiance to, not the king, you know, and the king and his heirs. That was the Pledge of Allegiance. Our leader, Prime Minister Carney, pledged allegiance to the king, you know. Pledge the allegiance to the king, pledge the allegiance to the king and his heirs. That still is part of our imagine. And that gotta go, that gotta go. That gotta go, you know. That is something that just gotta go. There they are, flying high, flying high. Some beautiful crows. Love those crows there. Circling a little bit on the sky. What are you looking for? What are you looking for? A little bit of love birds swinging those hips left and right in the sun. In the sun, swinging those left and right hips, and there we're gonna wait, you know. Wait for the light, saluting the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, those flipping some hamburgers, give them a raise, a little bit of raise, and we're gonna fuse the North American Collective and Public-Private Partnership, created two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dancing Goddess Army, DGA, the North American Integrated Dancing, and the Dragon Army for security, service, and defense protocols. How many times I say the right? SSD, security, service, and defense only as a protocol to be oriented around those venues and around that principle, the SSD, the acronym, you know, to get it on that SSD, and gotta get it for the LOV side of things, and that's how we're gonna get it on the love, you know, doing a little bit in the sun and getting on that joy, a little bit of that loving, and a little bit of that rock and roll towards the sun. And I know I shouldn't stare at the sun now too much, but I have those glasses, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And we also gotta get on that appellations and the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and all involved in the production, distribution of food. We gotta get it on the go, and that's how we gotta get it, you know. And truckers, warehouse workers, train conductors, butchers, bakers. The king is absent, brothers and sisters. First and foremost, our main geopolitical reality is that we got that coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and the geopolitical reality is that fundamentally, in essence, and that's a constant, our main interest is fundamentally to have the best, most cordial relations with the United States. With the United States. With the United States. To have the best, most relations with the United States, and that's it, that's all, that's what it is with that, and that's where we gotta go, you know, and that's where we gotta get that harness, and we gotta do it on the love side of things, and that's where we gotta get that arbitration and foul on the play, 5 yards down. 5 yards down, 10 yards down, foul on the play, hut, and we're gonna play that defense, and let's build for sports in perpetuities for, oh my gosh, this needs to be, I wonder if there's any tax on it. Don't pollute, please, don't pollute. Put that in the recycling. Put that in the recycling. There's 5 there, 5 bottles. I wonder if the price is increasing. Maybe the prices have increased, 25% tariffs. Oh, there's a 6th one there. There's so many bottles there. There's a 6th, see? I wonder if that's, I'm not gonna touch it because the hygiene and all that, and you know, but is there a 7? 6 represents the sun. 6 represents the sun. 6 is, there's the 7th. How many I'm gonna find? There's the 7th. What? There's the 8th. What? No way. More than that? 8? No way. Of the same thing? 8. 9 of that same bottle. 9 small bottle. What? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We're gonna go up to 44, maybe 45, maybe 45, maybe 45. I'm not gonna keep counting. Oh yeah, there's more over there. What is all around? All around, you know, so. Please, we gotta clean those. Put it in the recycling, that's all we got, recycling, and we're gonna need to get that public cleanliness, and please keep the protocols of the hygiene, and let's build the North American Imperial People's Coliseum for sportus in perpetuitus. Sportus in perpetuitus, for sportus in perpetuitus, meaning 24/7 sports fitness events. Build it on the Canadian-US border to be 11 times bigger than the Hardball Ball, aka Caesar's Superdome Palace, where the Super Bowl was played, and Super Bowl Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball, one of my favorite Super Bowls. That's where it was played there, and a few years ago. My 49ers lost, but not by much. But even by a point, even by 2 points, 3 points, it's still a victory for the. It was a victory for the Ravens, for the Baltimore Ravens. So, but I guess I made it to the Super Bowl, and modeled on the stadium where that Super Bowl was played, and a few years ago, more than 10, when they've Hardball Ball, aka Blackout Ball. And of course, build it to be 11 times bigger than that one, and to have sports in perpetuities with Canadian, United States, Canada, United States, universities, and universities from Canada, Canadian universities, and American universities, and the NFL, National Football League, the NHL, the National Hockey League, the NBA, National Basketball Association, the MLB, NBA, NHL, NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, the 4 patriarchal sports leagues, to have, of course, the 4 patriarchal sports leagues, to have, of course, the game played there, and to be for the North American civilizational complex, a new beginning in both sports and fitness, and encourage and mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise, and adopt my workout, which I've created, a simple, effective, efficient program system which requires no equipment, which I have, of course, made back in 2019 to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario as we see now. And I predicted what's happening now in a general manner, and since 3.5 years we've been pretty much living in that. I've been living in a World War III mode, the type of hypervigilance ever since 2019. Ever since 2019, I have been living in that type of hypervigilance and mode. Eh? That's beautiful. Love that red. So I've been living in a type of World War III type of environment and mode, and I did more than 372 sessions of my own creative workout training program system, which requires no equipment, more than 372 sessions. My workout training program system has simple rules. See, that's pi. That's the pi that I said. That's the pi that I mentioned, that our geopolitical interest is like mathematical pi, which is 3.1416, which is the constant, and that doesn't change. It's just the principle. So for us, Canada and both the United States, and vice versa, it is to have the best military, economic, social, financial, cultural, sports, and fitness relations with each other at all levels of our states, of who we are as Quebecers, Canadians, North Americans, and my brothers and sisters in the USA, and all ALL who come to join us, because we're a new North American civilizational complex. A North American civilizational complex which is not totally divorced, but is distinct. Not totally divorced. It has its distinctions from Western civilization. Right? So those distinctions are several layers, which I'm not going to go into a big discussion, and gotta be careful. So you gotta stop there at the corner, because us to pass by the street always a little bit of a concern to youth and everybody else's safety for the pedestrians, and make the assessments sometimes quickly, and children playing safely there, and that's what they gotta get doing on the XYZ, and that's what they gotta get doing with that, and that's why we gotta rock and roll with that, and that's why they can't, gotta be on the prudent side, and that's why they always on the beware and be safe and be alert, with the cars, and they're metal at the end of the day, metal on wheels. Some are $1,000, $500, $10,000, $100,000, $1 million in the cost of the car, but the body is high priced on that. So the body's a temple for pleasure and purpose. So that's why it's always to be safe and secure and safe. And that's why we got a little bit of that sunlight. Where we're going, we're gonna go all the way to roundabout by the bridge and gonna go back and then drive it in. It's not gonna be a long march today for me because I did yesterday, Wednesday to the mountain, and Tuesday to the mountain, and Monday to the mountain as my ASPE routines. You know, it's geopolitics, sports and fitness, working out, geopolitics, rock and roll. On the daily for hours and hours and day, you know. Sometimes a few hours of workout, marching, meditating, and hours of geopolitics, and hours of fitness, and hours of geopolitics, hours of working out, and hours of fitness. And sometimes I spend hours just in rock and roll trances, and I can definitely give a little bit of that good low rock and roll. So pledge your allegiance. That's the song, pledge your allegiance. Joyous, I'm joyous, smiling, happy. I guess content. Financially stressed though. Financially stressed. Could use a massage therapy session, and I've been craving a massage therapy session for years now. Cannot afford it, but finance the firefighters, you know. Finance the firefighters, the butchers, the firefighters, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the grocery store clerks. And that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And so we're gonna get drilling, you know. So we're gonna get on the go. Sometimes we gotta be on the lookout, you know, and finance the massage therapy sessions for the firefighters, you know. Those public workers changing up the aqueducts, the sewers, the aqueducts. The public workers, you know, Wall Street. Millionaires. That's what we gotta get doing with that, and finance them a massage therapy session. They deserve it more than yours truly, you know. So that's all we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get it on the drills, you know. So it's something which we gotta do. So we gotta get doing, man, you know, to get it on the love side, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love, man. And that's how we gotta get on the transmission lines, you know. We gotta get that 3G, 4G, 5G, and we gotta get it on the love, you know, because sometimes it's just love is also important. Not only money. It's not all about the money. It's not all about the money, you know. We know that. And sometimes being selfish has to be equated with altruism. Try to stay balanced, you know, a little bit of each. And I don't purport self-righteousness or that I don't crave, you know. I've been craving a massage therapy session, and I wish I could afford one, but financially, but hey, there's an alternative, eh? You massage me, I massage you. Friends with benefits only from now on. Pledge your allegiance, you know. Pledge your allegiance. Body's a temple for pleasure and purpose, and that's all we gotta get doing, you know. Pleasure and purpose. SSD, security, service, and defense, and the environment and nature, and the North American Collectif, fusing the true north, strong and free. Gotta add some love to that, with the home of the brave, and the home of the brave, and the land of the free. It's not enough. Gotta put some apple pie with that and love, eh? And just get rid of the tariffs, Donald Trump, Granddaddy Trump, and say I made a mistake, and I'm gonna invite you properly. Come over. Let's mass finance Canadians to visit the United States and vice versa. Finance public-private partnership-based Dragon Army Initiative, Dragon Zero Initiative, Rainbow Dragon, aka General Cuckold, Limb Dick, Dicklit, little Rainbow Scar, whatever nicknames, appellations, and code names you want to give, you know. That's what we're gonna get doing, and that's what we're gonna have to be doing with the XYZ, and that's what we're gonna get on that illumination, you know, as the sun shines, and the sun's shining. So that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So something which we gotta be on the mindfulness of things here, to coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Gotta get it rolling, and of course to implement my Trinity activities, the Holy Trinity. This was just given to me, so I'm gonna throw it away. I'm gonna bag it up and check it online, the platform, the propositions, and as much as You will the proposition you have to implement now ASAP. It's an emergency. The protocol known as my initiative, the DRT, debt refusion treaty. The debt refusion treaty, there's no theory, but the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange. This is where I wanted to come, right at the bridge, a little bit of sunset salutations, and we're gonna head on going to all the way where the train is. Train conductors, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, there's the train. Salutation to the train conductor, see how my brain works. Now I see this train, I know it's going west, and I know it's going west. Knowing that I know that, I put it in a geopolitical analysis, because I'm a geopolitical analyst and theorist, and I meditate how it's potentially open for sabotage and espionage. Potentially open for sabotage and espionage. Potentially open for sabotage and espionage, you know. It's open for sabotage and espionage. That's what it's open for, you know, the sabotage and espionage and sabotage, because we made powerful enemies. And now you wonder if China's gonna get it on that 7th of April. Not making any predictions. Maybe Monday on the 7th of April, because it's Thursday today, so Monday the 7th of April when I'm doing a big pre-full moon cleaning. Almost lost this one again, because remember 2 days ago on my video I lost the 49 I had after like 7 years, and I think I got it second hand, more than 7 years ago. I have it, worn it in many videos. You can see many Super Bowls and in plays. You can see me wearing the hat and doing workouts, my 49ers, and in the video from 2 days ago you can see the wind blew it, and it's like a whirlwind, and it just blew it off my head, and it went right on the highway. So that's what it is with that story. So now I have this one, which was gifted from my anonymous friend, kind of, which is a donation, and kind of got it on there. So it's the German soccer team. And I do like the German style of soccer. Soccer is not my main sport. It's dancing. My number one sport, fitness activity that I love is marching, dancing. And I love gridiron and North American football and boxing. And the first event, me and Donald Trump on the Canadian-US border, and then whoever else wants, wills, boxing, in the boxing world even, you can come and box me on the Canadian-US border. And after we build it, and it's time we start building it, and it's time that we implement the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, and it's time for the debt refusion theory, which is absolutely a must. It's absolutely a must. The time is pressing that we implement my debt refusion theory. And now that I'm on the topic of the DRT, it comes, of course, out of being cursed with Asperger's. The curse has a blessing, which I put on the table due to mainly in part that I am a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist. As an ASPI, I have these special interests, and geopolitics is one of them. And I take great pride in my work as an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted the international conflagration, which is happening now. And of course, that's what I will to say now, that today, where we are now, the international conflagration, which we have to be doing and have to be musting, is that we have to implement the DRT, the debt refusion theory. So why do I make that statement? The reason why that statement is made is due to the fact that we paid last year, 2024, 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. Keep in mind that a billion is 1,000 million. A billion has 9 zeros. 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 So due to the fact that we have paid with that money 46,000, 46,000, 46,000. That's the amount of which we have, 46,000 million. 46,000 million, of course. That is the number which is staggering amount. And back in 2020, 2021, we paid 20.3 billion. That's 40,000. Compared to the 40,000, that's 20,000, 20,300, 20,300, and of course 20,300 times 2, that's 40,000. Right? That's a billion has 9 zeros. A billion has 9 zeros. So 20.3 times 2, that's 40.6. So the number was 46.5, 46.5, 46.5, 46.5 billion. Imagine. So if you do the calculation, mathematical financial calculation, it means that from 20.3 in 2020-2021 fiscal year, from 20.3 to 46.5, you notice that 20.3 double is 40.6. Thus, it's more than double. Just the interest on the public debt of Canada. You realize, right? You realize that paying this amount of interest is, of course, yes, due to COVID. COVID caused it in major part. COVID was the cause for such a big increase. And myself, I survived COVID. Having survived COVID is, of course, something which, of course, having survived it, it was like death, pestilence, and disease. And it was like death, pestilence, and disease, COVID. I thought I was going to die. And I got vaccinated, I survived. I credited my surviving to the goddess, DODDSS, goddess blesses. I got those trillions of kisses created from the goddess. And I will to build the forgotten goddess temple. The forgotten goddess, DODDSS temple. As the sun's shining, you know. So that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And there's no other way, my brothers and sisters. The king is absent. Time for the fusion in the republic. The amount of interest has more than doubled that we pay. Imagine, consequently, in the financial matters of the principle that I'm going to discuss, is that a citizen X or citizen whose interest payments double in 3 years, let's say from 156 double is 312. So if the interest payments goes from 156 to 333, because 333 is more than double 156, right? So that means that the salary also has to double, to increase a lot for the same expenditures and the same budget to be kept. Otherwise, one has to cut, reduce the spending, you know. Reduce the spending. One has to be reducing on the spending, you know. It's a reduction of the spending. Reduction of the spending. So one has to reduce the spending. Is the same thing, of course, as the principle. As the same principle applies with the public sphere. Public sphere. So that is the same amount of interest which has doubled, and the same principle applies for the public debt. Public debt. The public debt and the private debt is the same, you know. So, but the mathematical financial principle, right? The mathematical financial principle is this principle which is just what I just aforementioned. That's just the principle. There's no other way around it. That's just how it is. One has to reduce the cut, because the average salary increases in the past 5 years, since 2020 to 2025, this year, has been 4.4%. 4.4%. So 4.4%. 4.4% is far from double. Is far from double. Far from double. So the same mathematical financial principle applies, you know. Same mathematical financial principle applies. Same mathematical financial principle applies. One has to cut, reduce the spending. Reduce and cut the spending. Reduce the spending, you know. Reduce and cut the spending. That's what we're gonna get doing with that. Reduce and cut the spending. That's what we gotta get doing. To cut and reduce the spending. So basically the same mathematical principle applies. We're going to have to cut the spending. Because of course it cannot be sustained. Just like the GDP has more than doubled. You know? That is just the fact. That's just the fact, you know? The GDP has more than doubled. That's the GDP has more than doubled, eh? And they're happy, they're playing, they're happy, I'm happy. When the youth are playing, that's them, it's worth to defend them, you know? That's what's worth to be carrying a weapon and be armed for. The children who are playing, and we're gonna play with that Rubik's Cube there and playing safely here, and that brings me joy, you know? And it's for them, you know, the Dragon Army, for their future. And of course, we have to be mindful, you know, and to them to play and, you know, without violence and fear and joy, and make our streets playgrounds, you know. It's time to make our streets playgrounds. It's time to make our streets playgrounds, you know. Playgrounds. Time to make our streets playgrounds. So the point is that myself, I don't have a credit card, but if I have a $10,000 credit line of 10, I pay 10.44 interest. But the point is that we have paid so much interest on the public debt. The interest that we paid was 46.5 billion. So that's 46,000 million. A billion has 9 zeros. So it more than doubled. So since the GDP didn't double, consequently the mathematical financial we're going to have to cut, reduce. What are we going to cut in the public? The police, RCMP, prisons, the public sanitation. What are we going to cut? What are we going to reduce? The spending has to be reduced. There's no way out of this. There's no way, because the GDP didn't double. So obviously, one has to reduce the costs. One has to reduce the spending. The same amount cannot be maintained. The same amount of spending cannot be maintained. The same amount of spending cannot be maintained. The same amount of spending. We're going to have to reduce, cut the firefighters, cut the public sanitation, those who pick up the garbage, the recycling, the compost. We're going to have to reduce. What are we going to have to cut? We're going to have to make a reduction. We're going to have to cut something. The spending cannot be maintained at the same level. It can just not be maintained, you know. It's something which we have to do. There's no way out of this. It's a beautiful sunset here. Quite nice. I like coming here, checking out the sunset. It's quite something which we got to do and something which we got to interject. But it feels hot. Anyway, so the point is, the mathematical financial point is that we have to cut and reduce the spending. We have to cut and reduce the spending because the amount of interest which we paid was, of course, staggering. So I'm just going to do some sun salutation and head back to my headquarters, I guess. That's what I got to do. It feels like a summer day. Feels like a summer day. The song is really strong. It's like a strong sunset, you know. Very strong, very powerful. But the sun is always rising and always setting. Every second there's a sunrise and a sunset. If you think about that, every second there's a sunrise and a sunset. So there's always a sunrise and always a sunset. Every second. So now the sun's setting here in Montreal, Hawk Island, but somewhere else it's rising. Somewhere else is rising. Bury me up, Papa Crawl in third me in New Jersey, third me up in the city of the pyramids, third me up in my royal. Adrian Hunter Dragon, pledge your allegiance, legions, star from me, Adrian Hunter Dragon, pledge your allegiance, legions, star from me, Adrian Hunter Dragon, pledge your allegiance, legions, star from me. So back to the DRT, and now we head back. So the DRT theory explained, the debt refusion theory explained. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. So you can go through there, but it's a bit slippery on the muddy side, but there's a way. Next time we'll explore. I don't want this too muddy now. We're taking the boots, but next time we'll go explore there, but it's kind of, public and private is still a kind of a gray area, I guess. Kind of like a gray area between what's the public and the private, you know. If I would be a police officer and catch somebody, they have to give a warning, whatever. Just give a warning and explain whatever, you know. It wouldn't be just be careful and give a warning, you know. It wouldn't be that. Unless you have 44 priors, you know. Whatever the case may be. So the DRT, debt refusion theory for the creation of the U. So again, you can argue all you want, but there's no way out of this. There's no way out of this. There's no way out of this. In the situation where we are now, there's no way out of this financial situation. Because just like in a public environment, you know, just like in the public and the private, is the same financial principles. One has to reduce the spending. The spending has to be reduced, you know. So it's just that it is, you know. So that's what it is. You gotta get it for the LOV. So they're happy, I'm happy, man. I love to see the youth happy and working out and playing around, you know. We got to do that for the whole cities, you know, to be playgrounds, you know. That's what's worth fighting for, defending, also being the Dragon Army, you know, to defend my fellow youth there, the youth, you know. So that's what it is going to be for that, and that's what it's going to be, you know. The DRT has to be implemented. There's no other way around it. There's no other way around it. There's no other way around it. No other way around it. And of course, that's the motto, this anthem of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom is the children playing. That's the motto. The anthem, Canada, United States fused, is going to be children playing and laughing. That's going to be the anthem. No words, just the sounds and instrumental music of children playing joyously, joyously, joyously. That's going to be the anthem of the dancing goddess of the fusion, Democratic Republican fusion of the empire. Democratic Republican Empire, the North American Collective, fusing the North to strong and free, LOV, with the South, South brothers and sisters in the USA, and that is going to be the anthem. Children playing the anthem, children playing there. So that's what's going to be with that. That's what it's going to be with that. So that's going to be the anthem. So the DRT, we have to implement it again. We paid so much interest. We pay so much interest that we are on the verge of having a public financial collapse, a black swan event. Black swan means in finance is just a term to mean that there's on the horizon, there's a possibility for a great public financial collapse. That's what that means. That's just what is the meaning of the term for a financial catastrophe. And it is on the horizon, maybe starting today, starting tomorrow morning, starting Monday, 7th of April. You know, financial collapse of Canada is a possibility because the GDP has not doubled. We're going to have to cut drastically the expenses like this. Due to COVID, COVID was the main cause because the programs had to be implemented to salvage the population in such an event where we had to implement those programs and sustain the population. So that's just financial mathematics, just like an individual whose interest payments surge, double, more than double. The individual has to reduce, maybe stop smoking cigarettes, stop going out to the club, stop going out to the bar, stop ordering food, stop spending money on certain things which he did before, you know, has to reduce and cut the spending and the budget. So that's just the reality of the financial situation, right? There's no in-betweens, there's no ifs, that's just the financial mathematics, financial mathematical principles. As an individual, to the micro and the macro. Macro being the Canadian public, and micro being me as a citizen, you as a citizen, us as individual citizens, part of this collective. Part of Quebec, part of Canada, part of Montreal, metropolis, 2.5 million people, island here, Hawk Island, Montreal, or North America, or Canada, United States. So we're going to have to take all the public and the private debt. And keep in mind that my DRT theory, and again, my DRT theory is the only solution, or something which strongly resembles my DRT theory. So not necessarily my debt refusion theory, but something which is very similar to my DRT theory, which strongly powerfully resembles my DRT, the debt refusion theory. Not necessarily mine per se, but something which has fundamentally in essence, which is principally, fundamentally, something which resembles my DRT, debt refusion theory, which in my DRT theory, in the debt refusion theory, is integrated in it monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. In the Europeans, the Germans, the Italians, the French, and many other countries, they destroyed their national central banks. They no longer have, in Germany, Italy, France, many other countries, they no longer have national central banks. They no longer have national central banks. They have a multinational central bank called the ECB, European Central Bank, which issues the euro. So my DRT theory contains in it monetary integration theory. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. We're going to take all the public and the private debt, all that money, we're going to convert it. My $10,000 included as a debt to the Royal Bank of Canada as a citizen. So all the public and the private debt, we're going to convert it into US dollars. United States dollars. We're going to add it make an addition and add it up with the add it up with the United States debt. All that money, public-private debt, our Canadian public-private debt, including my 10,000, converted into US dollars and added with the US dollars. So all of the debt, public and private, is going to be refused and added together. We're going to convert it into US dollars. All that money converted into US dollars, that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. All the debt, public and private debt, will be the initial money supply for this new central bank. We're going to create a new currency called the UE, based on the value of the US dollar. U dot universal E dot exchange U dot unit. U dot universal E dot exchange U dot unit. The UE. U dot universal E dot exchange U dot unit. The U dot universal E dot exchange U dot unit. The UE. U dot universal E dot exchange U dot unit. The UE. The universal exchange unit is going to have the value of the US dollar. We're going to set an interest rate level of 10%. 10% maximum after that on all loans, bank loans, credit loans. It's not going to be able to be more than 10% after that. It's going to not be able to be less than 10% after that. Has to be below 10%. Could be 1.56, 6.1, 9.3, 7.18, 3.33, 1.111, whatever, 9.3. Below 10% by principle. So that's going to be the new financial principle and system. We're going to have a new central bank. We're going to issue the currency called the UE, Universal Exchange Unit. The UE, the Universal Exchange Unit. The UE. Universal Exchange Unit. That's what we're going to do. We have to. There's an emergency on the horizon in the public financial collapse. It's on the horizon. You just make the calculations. You realize these are public numbers. You can check with the Bank of Canada. Just the amount of interest which we paid on the public debt has more than doubled. From 20.3 to 46.5. 20.3 double is 40.6. It was 46.5. So just by principle, there's no way around it. Just the mathematical financial principle. So with that money, we're going to rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective. Rebuild the bridges like this one across Canada and United States, because we got to implement it both Canada and United States. We're going to do a census. Get rid of the border. And do a census. We're gonna rebuild the bridges, the infrastructure, the collective, build more hydroelectric dams, and build more tunnels. The tunnels, 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war needs to be built, and of course we need to build those tunnels. We gotta give a salutation to the train conductors. Imagine we're gonna rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective. We're gonna rebuild the infrastructure. Not just the infrastructure, but we're gonna rebuild, of course, mass build the defense, security, and service apparatus and complex. We built 44 tunnels, and that's what it is with that. And gonna rebuild a little bit of that, and we rebuild 44 tunnels, construct 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. 44 tunnels based on the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, and of course not just the Cheyenne Complex Mountain, but we're gonna get doing on the initiative for the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. You know, what does this say there? Whatever. So the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. So we're gonna rebuild those 44 tunnels, and construct these 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, stack them with food, cans of food, and be so that they be more than 44 if we can, but that's the number Mike concocted for the whole population of Canada joined United States to be in concordium, and stack them with food, with cans and with food. That lasts 3.5 years, 5 years, 7 years, 11 years, 44 years, and that's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the XYZ, and that's what it is that to do that loving side of things, you know. So basically that's what we're gonna do. Build 44 tunnels, rebuild the infrastructure, finance the complementary covenant of cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, the North American Integrated Dance League, the DGA to be for the environment, and the Dragon Army, you know. So that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get going on the XYZ, and the Dragon Army to be the North American Security and Service and Defense Integrated Legion, for security and service and integrated legions for security, service and defense, SSD legions of the Dragon Army, the SSD legions of the Dragon Army, the SSD legions of the Dragon Army. Pledge your legions to our family, and we're gonna get down to rock and roll with that, and implement the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, and that's how we're gonna get going, and it has to be implemented. It's an emergency. Listen, my brothers and sisters, there's no way out of this. We are on the verge of a public financial collapse. It's the RCMP, salaries, police, military. Those are public, baby. Those are public. And we have to get the PPP. My dream, the Dancing Goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership. It's a PPP. Public-private partnership. The public-private partnership. Of the collective. Fundamentally, that's what we have to do. The king is absent. There's no way out of this. There's just no way out of this. Paradoxically, I've suffered, struggled, been depressed, been suicidal, lost employment due to having Asperger's. You know, there's a high unemployment rate in the fellow Aspie community, because a lot of people confuse, a lot of citizens have the confusion and the mislabeling that Asperger's is a mental illness, or that Aspies are prone towards violence. And I do not like violence. I don't like violence. I can be intense, concentrated, super in it, and super dedicated. I just don't like violence, and I'm always hyper vigilant. I've been living in a World War III mode since 2019. That's just the reality of how it is with me. You know, that's just how it is with me. Since 2019, I have proof. I have the work online. I predicted what's happening now in the general layers of manners, in a general overall manner. I predicted an international conflagration was approaching. I said I gave a 7-year timeline. So I said it was October, November 2019. kind of October 23rd, if I am to put a specific. The first date actually was October 17th in 2019, to be exact. I give October, November, but I think the precise date was October 17, 2019. I gotta double check, but I believe it was October 17, 2019, because you know what, I remember mostly the past 7, 8, 9, and then 11 years, and then I got blackout. You know, I got my memory just goes black. You know, there's just flashes of being attacked by surprise and having lived trauma and scars, and just, you know, there's a blackout with that. So that's just how it is. And nice. I was gutted on the first hit. Bad things start happening. Just how it is, you know. We're here to rule, man. We're just here to rule. That's what it is with that, and so we gotta get doing on the go, you know, and it's always something which we gotta be mindful of. So the DRT, depth of fusion theory, for the creation of the UE, is something which we gotta be mindful of, and something which we gotta be on that note, you know, because I live carpe diem it every day, but I have hope for tomorrow, you know. I have hope for the future. But since I died of COVID and I was very severely ill, sick, death, pestilence, and disease, COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease for me. COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease. I know when I say it was like death, pestilence, and disease, it's like a hardcore death thrash metal song, but that's how I felt, you know. That's how I felt, and that's just how I felt back then in 2020, between February and March 2020, and I just survived it. And I credited my surviving to the goddess JDDSS, and we're gonna build I will first and foremost to build the forgotten goddess temple, goddess JDDSS, and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. The North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, and on the Canadian-US border, you know. How about it? Forgotten Goddess Temple, North American People's Imperial Coliseum, Public-Private Partnership, Pyramid, Scarlet, Crimson, Scarlet, House of the Dragon, and the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow LGBTQ plus community and neurodivergent community, you know, of which I'm part of both. Androgynous, pansexual, loving that BDSM switch. No need to spy on me, China. Secret services of China, secret services of Russia. Don't cross the Atlantic, neither the Pacific to spy on Lil Scar. Code name Clit Dick Clit. Cuckold, greatest cuckold in the universe. General, what's my name? Dragon Army. Scream it LOUD, loud. I am Dragon Army, General Dragon. You are the greatest cuckold in the universe. What am I? Greatest cuckold in the universe. When the greatest cuckold in the universe says push-ups, you do what? We do push-ups, we do marches, we cannot be bribed, cannot be bought. Who are we, the Dragon Army? For the farmers and the butchers and the bakers, even for the cuckolds, can ensure freedom. Even for the homosexuals, lesbians and the construction workers and the butchers and the bakers and the doctors and the grocery store clerks. This is a great arena. The old arena used to come do a lot of volunteering. I have a lot of volunteering experience and a lot of volunteering. So in the past arena, I used to do a lot of volunteering here, and now a new arena is being built. constructed. Thank you, construction workers. Got a lot of finance. Oops, that went down. That was the indication on that platform. It indicated the financing of both the public. Look at that beautiful sunset. On the Canadian government with the Quebecer government. Canadian and the Quebecer government. So total added up to like 16 million. 16 million. So thank you, construction workers. This is gonna be a nice, and with my DRT theory, we're gonna be implementing my DRT theory. We're gonna be implementing more buildings like this across North America with my DRT theory and creating the new currency, the UE. See this one that says 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million. But that one said 10 million. So, because I remember from a few weeks ago, a few months, and even from last year, when when he was there for more than a year, that one that fell down there, that's flat now on the ground. Yeah, that's flat now on the ground. See, that one that was there, and that one said that it's from the government of Quebec. Government of Quebec. That one that's flat on the ground. It was similar to this one, but that one said government of Quebec. This one says government of Canada. So that's gonna be good. With my DRT theory, we're gonna be able to do even more. We're gonna be able to do even more buildings such as this. We're gonna be able to do even more buildings such as this. You know, so it's a constant thing when we go in life. Got to choo-choo on that train going east, west, north, south. Train conductors with those freights, with that good merchandise. Got to get that merch up, and got to get it for the love, and the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the grocery store clerks, and all those farmers on the go. And see that there's a child coming there, so I've got to check my vision again, because gotta move out of the way, you know. Gotta move out of the way. Give priority. And get it on the go here. And see, there's the Canadian flag, but I always got it on me. Right here. So that's what we gotta get doing, and you know, you gotta get that Canada there, Canada flag, and that's what we gotta get doing with the Canada flag and through the Canadian flag, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and gonna get it on the XYZ and get it for the love there with the little white flowers in the black fertile earth, the little white flowers in the black fertile earth. See those little black white flowers in the black fertile earth. And I love yellow flowers specifically. I love all kinds of flowers, even these white ones, tiny whiteys, tiny white ones. But I actually have a very red red is my favorite color, but I just also love yellow, you know, just yellow flowers, something which of course I gotta get doing on the yellow with that, and that's how I gotta get on the trajectory to getting on the love, you know. And another one's there. My vision is a bit blurry, you know, blurred, and yeah, I gotta get on a second opinion for an optometrist, and got scars. I gotta go to a dermatologist. I cannot afford one. I couldn't afford a dermatologist. I wasn't able to afford a dermatologist, so I always said I gotta go as much as I can to do it on the love side of things, but it's something which we gotta be on the love, you know, so something which we gotta be on the love side of things, so that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So something which is a must, and that's what we gotta get on the love side of things, and so we gotta get doing, you know. So something which we gotta be doing on the go, and so we gotta get on that blessings, you know. And, I don't know. Anyway, so something which we gotta be mindful of here is the terrain, and I'm gonna go by there. I'm gonna show you the great sunset, beautiful sunset, and I'm gonna show you where I go. I do a little bit of workout, training, and exercising, and that's why we're gonna go getting on the go with the XYZ, you know. Yeah, that's a story. $500, man. In 5 years. Oh, I'm not gonna go because it's wet. But this is a public gym, so thank you for the financing. And I found this now on the ground. I found a bracelet on the ground. And here, thank you. We're gonna be able to build more like this, and that's what it is with that. And that's where we're gonna go. Maybe it's theirs, I don't know. Found the bracelet. Hello. I found the bracelet.
No, it's not ours. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah, push it there, I guess. Leave it there, I guess. There we go. Okay. To get it. So, anyways. Yeah. Yes. Horror story, I guess. Oh, that's I hear a good Canadian story. I love those evergreens, they're so big. 7 times bigger than my size, and always get on those evergreens going up on them, and that's what we gotta get doing on that. And so we gotta get on that love side of things, you know. And we gotta get ready, man, because the possibility of a nuclear strike, you know. So we gotta get doing, you know. So we gotta get on the trajectory sides, you know. Beam of my eye. No. That's your brand of a no. Jiu-jitsu, kickboxing. Why not? I mean, it's martial arts. Good to channel the aggression, you know. It must be channeled. I channel dancing, working out push-ups, you know. How do we channel the aggression with push-ups and hugs, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, you know. DRT, dead refusion theory, is the only solution. You can argue all you want, brothers and sisters, but fundamentally, in essence, there's no other way but my dead refusion theory. You know, it's just the way things are today. It's from a perspective of today that we're speaking about, and so for today, there's just no other way. As much as you will to argue, there's arguments can be made, but in this specific case, there's just no way. Alrighty, so we're gonna get on that go and turn the head left and right here across the street. So going across the streets. Gotta get that hydration. I'll go to that side. That's what we gotta get doing, you know. We gotta be on that trajectory, and we gotta get on that love side of things, and we gotta get it on the love side, you know. So look at that. If you're into that stuff, I love the candies. Watch the car, buddy. I'll be like that hawk, HAWK, you know. I'm getting hit by a car under my watch. And hit by a car, but of course, got the Good Samaritan law here, you know. Get back, we got something called the Good Samaritan law, which basically stipulates that if a citizen is like in mortal danger, being hit by a car or grave accident, one has to intervene. So one has an obligation to intervene. So one has to intervene. That is just the law in Quebec, you know. It's still an unwritten law. It's kind of an old school law, but it kind of has a good principle behind it, you know. Kind of something the Dragon Army should be principle army. So a principle, you know, to operate by principle, just like the Dragon Army is the SSD, Security Service and Defense. It's like here in Quebec is the SSD, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. So we gotta get doing, you know, something which we got it on the B, got it on the C, got it on the U, and got it on the me. Oh yeah, thank you workers who build this. Oh yeah. Imagine all the brains and muscle to build this, construct this, and gonna get that hydration rock and roll. Oh yeah. And I would definitely love to put some paint here. You know, put some of that good paint and just paint it all up. Just bring me the tools and bring me the permission, and so we gotta be on that paint side and paint blue, yellow, red. Smells fresh now. I think I haven't. You know, it smells like somebody was cleaning here, which is good. Very good. Double plus. I don't think I ever saw anybody cleaning here, but I think now it was just clean because it kind of feels a little bit wet and kind of like that was cleaned by somebody just earlier. So I want to will to paint this. Just bring me the tools, bring me the permission, and I'm willing to put on the chop, put on the paint, the yellow, the blue, the red, the yellow, the blue, and the red, you know. The yellow, the blue, and the red. That's something which we gotta do and something which we have to proceed, you know. It's always something which we gotta be mindful, you know. We gotta hear the civilization to embellish the embellishments of civilization. Really feels warm. It's just a warmish. It's very strange. The temperature is very strange. Super strange. Not just strange, but even on the super strange, you know. So anyways, I'm gonna go to the south a bit, and maximum 5 hours today, because clocked in yesterday more than 5, Wednesday yesterday more than 5, Tuesday, and Monday more than 5, and I did a lot of work on the side. When I get back, I do another geopolitics, and you know, I'm getting on that weekend, so I need to get a little bit on that rest side, you know. Sometimes you gotta just rest a little bit. So we're gonna drive it in. I'm gonna drive it south, and then I'm gonna just drive it back, and that's gonna be it for today. So meaning I'm gonna get at least 4 hours minimum for sure, 4 hours plus. At least my protocols, and it's to get an average of minimum 4 hours weekly. So that means that from Monday to Friday I got to average a 20-hour marching non-stop marching, basically 4 hours daily. So sometimes if you do 6, that means you get 2 hours credited for the next day. Of course, it's 20 hours minimum. Sometimes I do 25, 30 plus, right? If it's more than 6 hours, and whatever the case may be, but it adds up consequently. But the minimum is 20. So sometimes I do 2 hours, sometimes I do 4 hours, and sometimes I do 3 hours, sometimes I do 5, and 3 plus 5 is 8. So that's 2 days, that averages. So basically I can do 3, 5, 3, 5, 4, right? Because 3, 5, that's 6, plus 5, that's 16, plus 4, that's 20. If I do 4, 4, 4, 4, Monday to Friday, 5 days, that's automatically, that's 4. But if there's a day that I do minus, then I gotta compensate. So that's basically the principle. If I do less than 4 one day, I gotta compensate the next day or the day after for the minutes, right? If I'm missing an hour, then I have to go a day to do more than 4, do 5. And that hour adds to the other one that's lacking. In other words, from Monday to Friday, the 5 days, it has to add up to 20 plus, because I have to average 4 hours per day. Or basically from Monday to Friday, or Sunday, because the Sabbath of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom commences Sunday, basically. So basically from Sunday sunset till Friday midnight. Basically the Dragon Army standard marching minimum requirements for the Dragon Army is 20 hours of marching from Sunday sunset, and Sunday sunset, because the Sabbath of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom commences Friday, right? So meaning that it commences Friday at midnight, which is Saturday 1 second into Saturday. It's more than 44 hours, almost 45 hours. So more than 44 hours is the Sabbath of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, for pleasure, rejuvenation, recreation, pleasure and purpose. So in other words, from Friday night, midnight, till Sunday sunset. So Sunday sunset, I gotta get going starting Sunday sunset. So in other words, I can do 4 hours Sunday, and another hours I can do on the other day. Another hour I do on the other day. Another hour. So that adds all up. So all that all added up, that's what it do. That's what it does. So that's what is gonna be doing with that. So it's beginning to say that it has to add up for 4 hours average. Basically, minimum 20 hours from Sunday sunset till Friday midnight, because that is the regular week of the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. Pledge your allegiance to our family. This means the Sabbath, non-sectarian Telemites, which the Sabbath begins Friday midnight, tomorrow midnight, and ends Sunday. 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 Sunday at Sunday after sunset. Friday at midnight it begins. It ends Sunday sunset. Basically, those are the principles of operation. So you work within those principles of operation. Those twins. Wow, they're twins. The dogs. I can't pet them too much because they make me sneeze, but I admire them from like far. They look like twins. They look like they're identical twins, with a beautiful black and white kind of bigger ones. Poodles I can pet, but the other ones, they make me kind of sneeze. Anyway, so the point is that Friday at midnight the Sabbath commences. The Sabbath commences Friday at midnight. It ends Sunday sunset. So basically Sunday after sunset, if you start marching a few hours, you can include those hours until, so you have from Sunday sunset till Friday midnight, 11:59 and 59 seconds p.m. because a second into post midnight, it's already Saturday, the next day basically. So That's when the Sabbath begins. That's when the Sabbath commences. And now we're going to switch it a little bit on that French, French side of things. And we're here in la belle province, so we got to put it up for the French, eh? Got to put it up for that French. We're here in la belle province. Let's go get it. Now we're going to get some, maybe cadence. Going to spit some French quickly. 3, 2, 1, French. Pour le français, bienvenue. Je suis à la marche. Votre regard arc-en-ciel vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique. Et on est jeudi. Ils vont passer pour prendre le compostage. Je vais commencer le 3 avril avec la gratitude de mon loyer payé, ma facture d'électricité payée. Puis j'ai du café puis du thé. Puis je vais faire l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique a été sera ma médecine et thérapie de choix. Puis je vous encourage à le faire. Puis aujourd'hui, on se réveille à un changement universel, global, international de l'ordre commercial tel qu'on l'a connu cette dernière décennie, je veux dire, depuis l'effondrement peut-être de l'Union soviétique en 1991. Fait que depuis plus que 30 ans, puis il y en a qui disent depuis plus que 46 même, depuis que Deng Xiaoping a ouvert la Chine en 1978, et les relations commerciales, économiques, financières ont été établies avec la Chine et l'Occident, soit les États-Unis, après que Deng Xiaoping, c'était le chef de la Chine en 1978, après la mort de Mao Tse-tung en 1976. Mao Tse-tung est décédé en 1976, et donc Deng Xiaoping a pris le pouvoir après ça, en 1978, 1978, il a fait des réformes pour ouvrir la Chine. Fait que c'est là que vraiment la Chine a commencé à se convertir, à se transformer en une puissance d'exportation globale, parce que leur fondation de leur économie, ça a été basé sur l'export des quantités en masse. Ils se sont basés sur le principe de la quantité. Quantité. Beaucoup de production. Beaucoup de production. Ils se sont basés là-dessus. Sur la production en masse. Masse. En anglais, on appelle le mass production. Pour l'exportation, par exemple, en fondamentalement. Puis après ça, c'est juste après un couple de décennies, quand il y a eu un enrichissement par leur exportation qu'ils ont faite à l'Occident, incluant nous, le Canada, le Québec, le Canada, les États-Unis, l'Europe, puis d'autres pays du monde. Puis, après ça, ils ont commencé à investir dans leur... ils ont fait une urbanisation. Ça a commencé dans les années 80 un peu, puis ça a pris en 90, puis après ça a augmenté d'une manière spectaculaire. Puis après qu'il y a eu un enrichissement pendant un couple de décennies, pendant, mettons, 20 ans, ils ont fait des exportations énormes, puis après ça, en s'enrichissant, leur économie se basant par ce principe d'exportation de quantité énorme. Puis en fait, bon, je ne rentrerai pas dans ça, c'est juste que c'est important parce que Donald Trump a imposé des tarifs énormes envers les produits de la Chine. D'après les dernières informations, je pense que c'est 65% sur tous les biens produits en Chine. C'est énorme, hein? 65 de tarifs, c'est 65 cents sur chaque dollar. Ça commence dès samedi, qui ont dit. Le samedi, ça commence. Il a signé officiellement les papiers. Mais nous, on a eu quand même au Canada une petite surprise. C'était pas si pire qu'on l'a pensé, sauf pour les automobiles, mais bon. Mais, puis un 10% de base sur tous les produits qui sont importés aux États-Unis. Fait que un 10% de base, après ça, plus des tarifs qui appellent réciproques sur plusieurs pays, ben des pays, là. Plus que 44 pays. Puis bien sûr, vous savez que moi, je suis un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique. Et bien sûr, je vous le répète, parce que je prends beaucoup de fierté dans mon travail, que en géopolitique, c'est mon royaume, c'est mon domaine. C'est ça que je fais au quotidien depuis bien des années. Puis je suis un analyste et théoricien indépendant en géopolitique qui vient avec une condition de neurodivergence qui s'appelle l'autisme non fonctionnel, l'Asperger's. Et donc, nous, les aspis, on a des intérêts spéciaux. Fait que ces intérêts spéciaux, ça préoccupe avec intensité, avec concentration. On est super dedans dans ce domaine de... Ça varie citoyen aspi, puis c'est pas une grosse, pas bien du monde qui ont l'Asperger, c'est moins de 1 sur 300, c'est moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage, moins à peu près 0,44% de la population seulement. Fait que je fais partie d'une petite minorité. Tu sais, même la communauté, j'en fais partie de la communauté LGBTQ en étant androgyne pansexuel, mais même il y en a 5 ou 6% des citoyens qui font partie de la communauté LGBTQ+. Lesbiennes, gays, homosexuels. Moi-même, je suis pansexuel, donc homme-femme, et que ce soit noir, blanc, homme-femme, et vous venez me faire l'amour, mais je vous carte, par exemple, il faut que vous soyez adulte. Je vous carte comme quand que vous allez voir pour boire la bière, quand vous allez voir pour acheter des cigarettes, quand vous allez vous rentrer dans le club, dans le bar, je vais vous donner les cartes, je vais vous demander les cartes. Bon, c'est ça. Et donc, pour dire que la géopolitique, c'est mon intérêt spécial, fait que mon cerveau, le cerveau des Asperger, nous, on a de la misère dans certaines choses, tu sais. On est moins habile dans les choses de la communication sociale, les interactions sociales. Dans ces choses-là, ce domaine de l'interaction humaine, c'est sûr qu'on a moins de capacités dans ce domaine-là, mais on a des caractéristiques qui sont étranges, bizarres, hors normes pour les gens de la structure, que la structure de la cerveau, c'est parce que notre cerveau, la structure de notre cerveau est différente. Fait que nous, on a de la difficulté à procéder certaines choses. Comme, mettons, l'espace personnel, on a tendance de s'approcher tellement proche d'une personne à deux... Tu sais, l'espace personnel, c'est 2-3 pieds, à peu près un couple de mètres, si on voit en mètres, là, si on calcule en mètres. Mais pour un aspect comme moi-même, je dois toujours travailler là-dessus, parce que j'ai tendance, puis on me l'a dit souvent, mais on a tendance de s'approcher à 2-3 pouces du visage, tellement proche de la personne, fait que ça peut être intimidant, tu sais, ça peut faire peur au moins, ça peut confondre ça avec la violence ou ces choses-là. Puis moi-même, je n'aime pas la violence. Je suis quelqu'un qui n'aime pas la violence. Je n'aime pas la violence. Mais je suis hyper vigilant. Je vis en hyper-vigilance, puis je vis en état de guerre mondiale depuis 2019. Parce que vous voyez mon intérêt spéciaux, en saluant les camionneurs, les boulangers, les camionneurs de l'autoroute, les travailleurs de l'île au Québec, les ambulanciers, ceux qui ont changé les couches dans les garderies, les travailleurs du collectif, les travailleurs publics qui vont ramasser les poubelles, le compostage, le recyclage, les électriciens puis les plombiers. Il faut que je les salue. Salutations de votre arc-en-ciel artiste, athlète, philosophe avec Aspi, mais qui fait bien du rock'n'roll. Le rock'n'roll, c'est mon domaine, le rock'n'roll. Le rock'n'roll, c'est mon domaine, fait que j'en fais au quotidien. C'est du rock'n'roll, bien sûr, que j'en compose dans le quotidien. Puis la géopolitique, c'est mon domaine, encore une fois. Mais maintenant, mon cerveau, comment il fonctionne, je vois bien sûr l'autoroute, puis je la mets dans une situation de la géopolitique actuelle et réelle qu'on vit maintenant, laquelle on se retrouve ce 3 avril 2025. Le fait, bien sûr, qu'on a une géopolitique où on est rendu proche d'une 3e guerre mondiale, puis on est ouvert, on est à des vulnérabilités d'espionnage puis de sabotage au Québec, au Canada, parce qu'on s'est fait des ennemis puissants ailleurs, à l'externe, qui ont des armes nucléaires, puis qui nous sont antagonistes. Ils ont des antagonismes envers nous à cause d'X, Y raisons, de motifs. Et moi, vous savez que mes initiatives, mon rêve, quand je dis prêter allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille, c'est mon rêve pour un partenariat public-privé, un PPP à travers le Collectif de l'Amérique du Nord pour faire la fondation de 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé, soit l'Armée du Dragon, pour les légions du Collectif, pour l'union, la fusion des États-Unis avec nous, le Canada avec nous. Puis, comme je disais tantôt, quelqu'un m'a donné un pamphlet pour le vote, mais le roi est absent. Le roi Charles est absent. J'ai pas aimé ça que Mark Carney, notre premier ministre, qui est premier ministre, après que Justin Trudeau a donné sa démission, après plus que 9 ans. Justin Trudeau a régné comme premier ministre plus que 9 ans. Ça fait plus que 9 ans. C'est le temps pour la République. Le roi est absent. Il a prêté allégeance au roi Charles, au roi de l'Angleterre. Et ses descendants. Il a prêté allégeance au roi et ses descendants. Mais c'est le temps de finir avec ça. C'est le temps de finir avec ça. C'est le temps de... Je boycotte les élections. Non, juste parce que c'est le temps de finir avec ça. C'est le temps pour la République. C'est le temps pour la théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est le temps pour la théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est pas pour prêter allégeance aux marchands, prêter allégeance aux travailleurs de construction, les travailleuses de l'Hydro-Québec, les pompiers, les boulangers, ceux qui font le camionnage du camion, puis qui font de la boulangerie, qui font du travail dans l'électrique, qui font du travail artistique. Tous nos travailleurs, puis tous même ceux qui sont en difficulté financière comme moi-même. Je vis une crise financière, je vis une crise financière, je suis en difficulté financière. Je vis un stress financier, mais j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, puis j'ai du café, j'ai du thé, puis je vois un beau extra bois qui est beau, le camion! Ah bon, c'est comme un bonbon, qui est bon le camion comme un bonbon, qui est bon le camion. Et qui est bon le camion comme un bonbon. Eh bien, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je me regarde moi-même dans ce domaine, mais c'est la géopolitique actuelle et réelle qui se trouve en ce moment, qu'on aille dans cet événement de la géopolitique, on se retrouve maintenant. Bien sûr, bien, je veux dire, mais le roi est absent. C'est le temps pour la République, c'est le temps pour la refusion de la dette, c'est le temps qu'on passe au 20e siècle dans le contexte de qu'on est rendu actuellement avec la géopolitique. Puis bien sûr, dans un état difficile, on se retrouve. Hein. Regardez, hein, comme je dis, mais en géopolitique réelle, l'importation, l'exportation, c'est de l'abstrait qui a été mis en pratique parce qu'un pays souverain, une nation pays n'a pas d'obligation à faire des importations, là, à permettre des imports et l'export. Je soutiens, avec considération de partenariat public-privé, puis d'égal, d'équité et tout ça, l'import-l'export, c'est sûr. Mais en principe, même si je ne soutiens pas Trump, pas du tout, depuis 2018, je le fais appel pour qu'il combatte dans un combat de boxe. C'est là que je suis rentré dans la politique, vraiment. Quand Donald Trump a imposé des tarifs sur l'aluminium et l'acier du Canada, puis j'ai même les gants dans mon sac à dos en arrière que je porte en ce moment sur le dos. Là. Mon sac à dos sur le dos, vous venez voir. Fait que j'ai le sac à dos, tu sais. Ben, c'est là que je suis rentré dans la politique, vraiment, quand il a imposé des tarifs. Mais, en principe, la géopolitique réelle, puis ça, moi, en étant un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, quand vous me parlez de la géopolitique, il faut que vous connaissiez que moi, c'est vraiment ça mon domaine, mon intérêt spécial. Fait que je connais la géopolitique, c'est 24/24, même quand je dors. Quand je dors, quand je me réveille, c'est des analyses, des théories, des révisions. Puis, fondamentalement, qu'est-ce qu'il faut qu'on comprend puis qu'on dit oui? Il n'y a pas de oui et non, c'est oui. Qu'est-ce que je vais dire profondément en géopolitique? Notre intérêt principalement, fondamentalement, et avant tout, considération géopolitique, je parle de la géopolitique. C'est que nous, les Québécois et les Canadiens, qu'on ait les meilleures relations possibles de l'économie, des finances, de l'import, de l'export avec les États-Unis. C'est comme le pi, tu sais, en mathématiques, le principe du cercle, là, le chiffre 3.1416 là, qui continue, le pi, le pi, c'est comme un signe de même, comme un N, comme un signe de même, le pi, là, c'est des mathématiques, tu sais, pour que vous calculez, tu sais, le périmètre, et tout ça, la surface, le périmètre, tu sais, les calculs mathématiques de la surface, du périmètre de la surface, ça prend le chiffre 3.1416. C'est un chiffre constant. Comme une équation en mathématiques. C'est comme une équation des mathématiques. Ça, c'est constant de la géopolitique. C'est constamment la même chose, tu sais. Ça change pas, tu sais. Fait que ça change pas. Fait que c'est tout, c'est oui. Premièrement, avant tout, il faut qu'on ait les meilleures relations possibles avec les États-Unis, du point de vue économique, culturel, militaire, de sécurité et plus. Sécurité militaire et plus. De la sécurité, du militaire, du commercial, dans toute chose. Diplomatique, économique, militaire, de sécurité, de commerce, de culture, de sport. Il faut qu'on y ait notre intérêt principalement, fondamentalement, l'intérêt numéro un, là, en première place qu'on a en tant que Québécois-Canadiens, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis. Ça, c'est une constance. C'est constant. Ça, c'est comme le principe de des mathématiques, ça. Tu sais, les formules, là, ça ne change jamais, les formules. Les formules ne changent jamais, ces principes mathématiques. C'est sûr qu'il y a d'autres manières, des fois, de trouver de la mathématique, puis on fait la résolution d'autres problèmes mathématiques, d'autres manières de les faire, mais constamment, comme le chiffre pi, c'est toujours 3,1416. Tu sais? Fait que c'est ça. Il n'y a pas d'autre. Oui et non. D'océan à océan, de côte à côte. Principalement et fondamentalement. En étant un analyste et théoricien géopolitique qui a prévu la situation actuelle qui se déroule en ce moment, principalement, fondamentalement, c'est en première place, c'est ça. Il n'y a pas de oui et non. Fait que c'est là qu'il faut qu'on voit toutes des choses. Après ça, on va pouvoir avancer. Parce que si vous me dites mais non, on ne peut pas avancer. Parce que ça, c'est un principe constant. Pour la réalité de la géopolitique, je parle en géopolitique, pas des choses personnelles en tant que qu'est-ce que vous ressentez pour le peuple américain qui constitue une diversité énorme de plus que 340 millions, tu sais. Qui sont noirs, qui sont blancs, nos frères et sœurs noirs, nos frères et sœurs blancs, les 50 États, et chaque État a une diversité en étant qu'État, elle lui-même, les États, tu sais. C'est là, il y a une diversité dans des États aussi, les 50. Il y a une chose commune, les États-Unis. Puis après ça, il y a chaque État avec leur propre feeling, propre culture même. Mais c'est les États-Unis quand même. C'est une fédération, c'est une république fédérale, tu sais. C'est pas une constitution monarchique comme nous, là. Nous, c'est ça, ils prêtent allégeance au roi Charles, là, voyons, là. En 2025, là, prête allégeance au roi Charles et ses héritiers. Ben, écoutez, là, ben, il faut arrêter ça, là, c'est fini, ça. Il faut oublier ça, et il faut oublier ça. On est une nouvelle entité politique. On est un collectif émergent, collectif nouveau. On a fait le grand compromis linguistique du français. On continue à le faire. Des fois, c'est pas facile. Mais bien sûr, on va devoir continuer à le faire. Si moi, je ne le fais pas en tant qu'individu, moi, je le fais avec amour, mais quelqu'un me demande de parler en français, bien, ça en fait plaisir. Également en anglais, là. Tu sais, je le fais le plus que je puisse le faire. En l'individu, ça prend aussi de l'action individuelle, comme par l'environnement aussi. Mais en géopolitique, notre intérêt fondamental, première place, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis. Il n'y a pas de oui et non là-dessus. Il n'y a pas de oui et non, c'est oui. C'est constant de même. C'est juste la réalité de la géopolitique et de la géographie, mes chers. Du point de vue de la géographie. Je suis pas un partisan de Trump, j'oppose ses politiques. J'aurais voté Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Puis moi-même, tu sais, je suis un mystique, j'ai une spiritualité, mais moi, j'y crois à la réincarnation. J'ai été né aux États-Unis 3 fois. Une fois femme, 2 fois homme. J'ai servi dans l'armée des États-Unis 2 fois. Dans 2 guerres différentes de 156 ans à part. Ben, la géopolitique, c'est constamment la même. C'est ça le principe, lequel il faut qu'on opère. Même si je veux me combattre depuis 2018, je fais appel à Donald Trump de me combattre dans un combat de boxe, puis allons-y par un partenariat public-privé sur la frontière canadienne-états-unienne, qu'on construit le palais, le Colisée du peuple impérial de l'Amérique du Nord, qui soit plus grand que le Colisée, que l'aréna de la Ligue de football nationale, qui se trouve à Nouvelle-Orléans, qui s'appelle le Caesar Superdome, qui se trouve au Caesar Superdome, Caesar's Superdome, tu sais, qui se trouve au Caesar Superdome. Il faut faire ces choses-là. qu'on bâtit cette Colisée ensemble pour avoir du sport in perpetuitis, du sport in perpetuitis, du sport in perpetuitis, pour faire du sport à perpétuité, là. Pour faire du sport à perpétuité, faire du sport à perpétuité, tu sais. Sur la frontière Canada-États-Unis, avec le temple de la déesse oubliée, puis la pyramide rouge écarlate, écarlate c'est rouge, ma couleur préférée est le rouge, la maison du dragon, puis le 4e bâtiment que je veux bâtir, le palais du peuple impérial. Le palais du peuple arc-en-ciel, je veux dire, pour ma communauté LGBTQ+, puis les neurodivergents comme moi-même, qui je vis avec l'Asperger's, l'autisme moindrement fonctionnel, ça fait que mon cerveau est différent, fait que je vois les choses d'une autre manière. Dans certaines choses, j'ai de la misère, je suis moins capable, puis comme bien des aspects, mais on a cette difficulté dans les interactions sociales à savoir des choses de la communication non verbale ou la communication, ça peut être un peu étrange, bizarre, et hors norme, tu sais, ça peut être hors norme, ça peut être bizarre, ça peut être hors norme, ça peut être bizarre, ça peut être dans ces choses-là, ça peut être bizarre, ça peut être hors norme, ça peut être vraiment bizarre, vraiment hors norme, ça peut être vraiment étrange, mais c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est pas une maladie en tant que telle, c'est juste que notre cerveau est différent, fait que, mais on a nos forces, on a des forces, des capacités qui, comme dans le livre que mon ami anonyme m'a donné, si je fais 1 milliard, 1 trillion, je donne la moitié, 50%, ben, ça dit l'appréciation de l'Asperger's. Parce que les aspects, il faut qu'ils soient encouragés, surtout dans ces intérêts spéciaux. Puis la géopolitique, j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2019, puis je prends beaucoup de fierté dans mon travail de la géopolitique. En 2019, en octobre, en novembre, en 2019, j'ai prévu la situation actuelle. 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 Fait que j'ai prévu la situation actuelle, mais d'une manière générale. Qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant dans le monde? Je l'ai prévu en 2019. Ça a commencé exactement le 17 octobre 2019. Puis en conséquence, j'ai créé mon propre entraînement physique, que j'ai performé plus que 372, que je suis aussi fier de l'avoir créé, parce que c'est en conséquence, ça ne requiert aucun équipement, puis ça augmente. C'est un bon conditionnement physique que j'insiste pour qu'il soit appliqué par les services de sécurité, par les services de la défense nationale, pour l'armée du dragon, de Partenariat Publik-Privé. C'est des temps difficiles. Moi, j'ai vécu la dépression, j'étais suicidaire en traversant le Canada de côte à côte en 2017. En 2017, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. Cet événement-là, ben, ça m'a fait sortir de la dépression. Avant ça, j'étais en dépression. J'étais suicidaire. J'étais en dépression, j'étais suicidaire. Puis que j'étais en dépression, suicidaire. Mais en 2017, quand j'ai traversé le Canada, mais ça m'a fait comme une illumination. J'ai eu comme un réveil. Puis j'ai commencé à dire, ben là, tellement de choses à faire, tellement de choses à voir. Juste au Québec, au Canada, fait que j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide. Vous êtes de ma famille, les Québécois, les Québécoises, les Canadiens, mais des fois, c'est sûr qu'on est dysfonctionnel un peu, tu sais. Mais je vous défendrai s'il y a une invasion. J'irai mettre un uniforme s'il y a une invasion. Je jouerai le feu pour la défense, sur un tank, avec une mitraillette, que ça soit une arme, tu sais, pour vous défendre s'il y a une invasion. Mais juste pour la défense, par exemple. Juste pour la défense. Mon initiative pour l'armée du dragon, c'est pour 3 principes. Pour ce partenariat public-privé du 20e siècle, pour l'armée du dragon, soit l'armée du collectif, l'Amérique du Nord, les légions, pour la sécurité, service et défense. Le principe de la SSD. Sécurité, service, 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 défense. Sécurité, service, défense. Sécurité, service, défense. Sécurité, service, défense. SSD. Quel beau bleu ciel. SSD. Ça, c'est Orion, ça, Orion. Les 7 étoiles, ça veut dire que Scorpion, c'est là d'abord. Et c'est pas si visible, mais bon. On parle de ce principe de la SSD. Service, sécurité, puis défense. Puis là, c'est le temps que je discute de la théorie de la refusion de la dette, mais avant ça, encore une fois, je vais envoyer un peu d'amour aux camionneurs, aux boulangers, ceux qui travaillent dans les épiceries, ceux qui font du ménage, ceux qui font bien sûr du nettoyage, les pompiers, les ambulanciers, puis les boulangers, puis les travailleurs de Québec, les travailleurs publics qui ramassent le compostage, les chauffeurs d'autobus, tous les travailleurs du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, parce que les Québécois et Canadiens, puis le collectif nord-américain, avec nos frères et sœurs des États-Unis, on va devoir se fusionner puis, par un partenariat public-privé, même par la trinité de mes théories. Par la trinité de théories, aujourd'hui, ben, le monde a changé, les finances, l'économie, le commerce. Ça, l'ordre, Donald Trump et l'administration, ils ont mis fin à l'ordre économique qui existait. Okay. Puis comme Vladimir Poutine a mis fin à l'ordre de paix et de sécurité en Europe qui existait. Mais il n'a pas attaqué un pays de l'OTAN, par exemple. Il n'a pas attaqué un pays de l'OTAN, par exemple. Il n'a pas attaqué un pays de l'OTAN. Ça, c'est un autre point de vue. Même si je connais les conflits, puis j'avais prévu la situation actuelle, mes initiatives, mes protocoles sont pour la sécurité, pour le service, pour la défense du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, puis que je fais appel à la construction de ces 44 tunnels. Ces 44 tunnels pour étendre le cas d'une guerre nucléaire. Parce que c'est possible. Vous avez vu hier et avant-hier, il y a eu la Chine qui ont fait de l'entraînement militaire. Ils ont fait de l'entraînement militaire. Un entraînement militaire énorme qu'ils ont fait. Puis là, le Taïwan y a répondu. Puis c'est possible que le 7 avril, ce lundi qui s'en vient, c'est possible là, qu'ils vont faire une invasion. C'est possible qu'ils vont faire une invasion. C'est possible là, qu'il y ait une invasion de... C'est possible qu'il y ait une invasion. C'est possible qu'il y ait une invasion du Taïwan par la Chine. Hein? C'est possible qu'il y ait une invasion. Mais là, c'est d'assaut. Fait qu'on va faire ensemble. Donc, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, je vous l'explique. Puis, je dis maintenant, parce que je suis dessus, il faut que vous vous concentrez. Oubliez que j'aime le sadomasochisme, que je suis monsieur, madame, 50-50. Ben, c'est important parce que ça sort de l'Asperger, ça fait que cette condition de neurodivergence, c'est pour ça que ma théorie, c'est important. Donc, la théorie que je vous dis, c'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Fait que la TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Théorie d'intégration monétaire. Théorie d'intégration monétaire, ce qui est la théorie que les Européens ont fait, l'implémentation dans la communauté européenne. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est la théorie qu'il faut faire l'implémentation. Et bien sûr, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Pourquoi je dis que c'est la seule solution ou quelque chose qui ressemble à ma TRD, c'est car est dû au fait que l'année passée, on a payé 46,5 milliards sur la dette. D'intérêt seulement, imaginez-vous ce chiffre, hein? 46,5 milliards, 1 milliard c'est en 9 zéros, ça c'est 46 000 millions. Juste l'intérêt, puis pensez qu'en 2020-2021, le montant était de 20,3 milliards. Fait que faites le calcul mathématique, 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6, ça veut dire que 46,5 milliards, ça a plus que doublé. Juste l'intérêt qu'on paye sur la dette publique canadienne a plus que doublé. C'est plus que le double en 3 ans seulement. Donc, ben, imaginez-vous, oui, à cause de la COVID, en grosse partie, c'est la COVID, les programmes qui ont dû être implémentés, c'est dur à cause de la COVID, mais c'est sûr que c'est pas juste à cause de la COVID, mais en grosse partie la COVID, que moi-même, je marque 5 ans depuis que j'ai survécu la COVID, hein. C'était comme la mort, la pestilence, puis la maladie. En 2020, j'ai prévu la situation en 2020, j'ai eu la COVID entre février 2020. Entre le février 2020 et mars 2020, j'ai eu la COVID. J'ai eu la COVID entre février 2020 et mars 2020. Puis j'ai survécu la COVID. Puis en ayant survécu la COVID, je pensais que j'allais mourir. J'étais en train de renaître. Je dis souvent, je suis mort. J'étais en train de renaître. Puis c'est un paradoxe, mais la TRD, il faut faire l'implémentation parce que pensez-y, là, en tant qu'un individu, puis le même principe mathématique s'applique sur la dette publique que sur la dette privée. Moi, j'ai pas de carte de crédit, j'ai une ligne de crédit de 10 000 $. Donc, je suis en dette de 10 000 $ à la Banque royale du Canada et je paye un intérêt de 10,44. Mais en tant que citoyen, là, imaginez-vous, en tant que citoyen, si une personne, l'intérêt double, sans que le salaire double, c'est sûr que la personne, citoyenne, elle, lui, moitié-moitié, monsieur, madame, citoyenne, il faut qu'elle ou lui, il faut qu'il coupe dans le budget. Si l'intérêt double et le salaire, la grosse partie, la majorité des salaires, l'augmentation moyenne des salaires, ça a été de 4,4% entre 2020 et 2025. Entre 4,4% en 2020 et 2025. Ça a été entre 4,4% entre 2020 et 2025. Ça a été entre 4, à peu moyenne, ça a été 4,4% seulement en 5 ans. C'est pas beaucoup. C'est sûr qu'il y en a qui ont été plus, 10%, mais il y en a qui c'était juste 2%, 3% aussi. C'était moins ou plus que la moyenne. Mais la moyenne était d'environ 4,4%. Pas beaucoup, c'est pas double, ça. Pas beaucoup de salaires qui ont doublé. Fait que le même principe, ça applique sur la dette publique. Car l'intérêt, ça a plus que doublé, juste l'intérêt de 20,3 milliards en 2020-2021 à 46,5 milliards. Fait qu'imaginez-vous, là, qu'est-ce qu'on va couper dans le budget public? La police, la GRC, la sanitation publique, ceux qui ramassent les poubelles, l'armée, le militaire, l'armée, la défense nationale, les prisons. Fait, vous voyez, c'est ça. On est en veille d'avoir potentiellement un effondrement financier public canadien, là. C'est grave. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution que la théorie de la refusion de la dette ou quelque chose qui ressemble à ma théorie en grosse partie. Quelque chose qui ressemble à ma théorie en grosse majorité. Fait que ma TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. La théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est la théorie financière que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation dans les années 90 par la destruction de leur banque centrale. Ils n'ont plus de banque centrale nationale, les Allemands. Ils n'ont plus de banque centrale, les Allemands, les Français, les Italiens. Banque centrale nationale. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique privée. En Europe, ils ont la banque de la communauté européenne, la banque centrale européenne. Puis ils ont mis en circulation une monnaie commune, hein, plusieurs pays. Ils n'ont plus de monnaie qu'il y avait auparavant, le Deutschmark et tout ça. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient la théorie que je viens de vous en parler, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, cette dette-là, on va la prendre. Toute la dette publique-privée, incluant mon 10 000, on va faire la conversion de toute la dette canadienne publique-privée de côte à côte dans la devise des États-Unis. Tout cet argent-là, on va faire l'addition avec la dette des États-Unis. Tout cet argent-là, avec la dette des États-Unis. Fait que tout cet argent-là, on va faire avec la dette des États-Unis. Tout cet argent-là, on va faire avec la dette des États-Unis, Tout cet argent-là, on va le mettre ensemble. Toute cette dette-là, on va mettre ensemble. Et bien sûr, toute cette dette-là, on va mettre ensemble. Tout cet argent-là, ça va faire la refusion totale. Tout cet argent-là, toute la dette publique-privée, ça va faire une refusion. Fait que cet argent-là, toute la dette publique-privée, bien sûr, ça va être l'argent initial pour la création d'une nouvelle banque. Ça va être de l'argent initial pour la création d'une nouvelle banque. Toute la dette publique-privée, convertir la dette publique-privée du Canada dans les États-Unis, on va mettre ensemble avec les États-Unis, ça va être l'argent initial pour la création d'une nouvelle banque. Cet argent-là, on va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10 Pour ça, on va faire la création de UI. U.unité, point échange universel. U.unité, point échange universel. U.unité, point échange ou point universel. U.unité, point échange ou point universel. Le UI. U.unité, point échange ou point universel. Le UI. Basé sur la valeur du dollar des États-Unis, on va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Avec ça, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord parce qu'on va faire l'implémentation Canada et États-Unis en même temps. Simultanément, on va finir avec la frontière, on va se diriger pour la sécurité de côte à côte, les ports et les aéroports, les ports et les aéroports, les ports et les aéroports. On va faire pour les ports et les aéroports. Et bien sûr, on va faire pour l'implémentation, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure, on va bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, on va financer les gens à faire l'entraînement physique, on va financer le tourisme interne, ça veut dire pour le bien-être. Ça fait du bien le tourisme, moi ça me fait sortir de la dépression. On va financer la construction du palais du peuple impérial pour du sport, le Colisée du peuple nord-américain impérial sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis, bâtir et construire les 44 tunnels, les 44 tunnels basés pour bâtir ces tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire. Et ces tunnels sont inspirés par les villages souterrains, tu sais, le village souterrain de Montréal, puis les montagnes Cheyennes, le complexe de défense de la NORAD qu'on appelle, c'est une alliance militaire du Canada et des États-Unis qui date des années 50, puis il y a un complexe dans une montagne, ils ont construit comme plusieurs étages dans cette montagne Cheyenne, ils ont bâti un train du NORAD, fait que on va construire ces 44 tunnels. Et donc, ces 44 tunnels, on va faire la construction, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure, financer les gens à faire l'entraînement physique, rebâtir les ponts, bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10% maximum après ça sur tous les prêts. Et on va faire beaucoup de biens communs. On va faire la fondation de 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé, l'armée de la déesse qui danse, sur la ligue de danse Integree pour le plaisir et pour l'environnement. Et bien sûr, en parallèlement, on va faire pour l'armée du dragon, pour les légions du collectif du Canada et des États-Unis ensemble, pour la sécurité, service et défense, pour la sécurité, service et défense, pour la sécurité, service et défense. Puis là, that's all. On va aller voir là, comment je suis dans le moins. Ici, à la banque. Oh yeah. Let's get on that rock and roller. I feel good, but see, financially stressed, so that's what I gotta get doing with that, and that's what I gotta get doing on the XYZ, and I can get drill up and down and on the road, up and down and on the road, up and down and on the go, up and down and on the show, up and down, here you go. Get ready, ready, ready. This is Dragon Army drills. Dragon Army drills. Get ready. That priestess of the goddess conversion switch turn 50-50. Adrian Dragon, get my name out of your mouth if it's not for blessings. There's Orion. There's Scorpio. My eye, left eye. That's what I gotta get doing. Let's get it. Now I'm gonna do some of those because this night it's appropriate for me to do the military cadence. Third event, military cadence, Dragon Army, property of the Dragon Army, created by General Cuckold, Rainbow Dragon Priestess, Hana Adrian, Hana Dragon, Dragon Rainbow. Keep my name out of your mouth, Adrian, Hana Dragon. If it's not for blessing, otherwise let it be pestilence. Hope you got an understanding. Keep my name out of your mouth, Adrian, Hana Dragon. Out of your mouth if it's not for blessing, otherwise let it be pestilence. Keep my holy, sacred, and divine name, Adrian Hana Dragon, out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing, otherwise let it be pestilence. Hope you got an understanding. Dragon Army drills, property of the Dragon Army freestyle cadence. I gotta go take a look at that one. Turn your heads left and right before you cross the street. Safety and prudence. Dragon Army cadence, session 3 online freestyle. Let's go. Property of the Dragon Army created freestyle live April 3rd, 2025 or post 1904. I'm getting dynamite here. Oh, away the Dragon Army. We cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed. Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are white. All of my dragons be rainbow dragons. Some of my dragons be black, some of my dragons be white. All of my dragons be rainbow dragons. Some of my dragons be white, some of my dragons be black. All of my dragons on the march. on the march. For the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses and the doctors, plumbers and the electricians, even us mighty workers, hey. Gotta get it for the legions. How many are the legions? That's for the Dragon Union. That is for the Collective. That is for the Union. Hey, for among the 50 states and the wandering today. Hey, in the legions. 51, you know this thing. 51, you know this thing. Gotta get it for the legions. Gotta get it for today. Gotta sing it, gotta swing it. Gotta swing so you don't miss it. Gotta sing it every day. So you know we gotta slay. Gotta sing it left or right. Gotta swing it left or right. Gotta swing it left or right. Gotta swing it. Oh, I wait a dragon up. Gotta get it, dragging on me. Gotta get it so you know. There's the other hat. Turn the head left or right. Make sure you cross safely. How's the other red this week? It says it was safe for me to cross it. Well, that's not safe. Got the leftovers from my brothers and sisters, I guess, in the Midwest. They got big, powerful storms in the Midwest. In the Arkansas, sending some love to Arkansas. This cadence is for Arkansas. And the Midwest, and my brothers and sisters dealing with the situation of the storm. C'est pour venir. Arkansas, get ready. Who are we? Dragon Army for the 50 and the 51 or the 63. Canada got 10 provinces, 3 territories. Better 13 like the initial started ones. 63 legions of the Dragon Army. It's green, it's nice, but it's safer for me if I take it, because if this flies, if this umbrella flies by the wind, it's so windy, so for security purposes I decided to take this umbrella. I'm gonna have to disinfect my hands because of course if this flies in a car, I just saw the police car pass by, somebody gotta sing for the boys and girls in blue. If this flies in the car can go on the road and do an accident. What if it has children? So it's best if I take it from the road, this one, see? It's best if I take it. It's got some red and it's got some green. It's got some red and it's got some green. So that's perfect for the Dragon Army, Dancing Goddess Army. Gotta add some love in that, you know? Gotta add some love in that, gotta add some love in that. Gotta get it for now, let's go. Continuing the cadence. Oh, away the Dragon Army. We cannot be bought, we cannot be bribed. Nobody is born a dragon. Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are white. All of my dragons be dragons. All of my dragons be doing push-ups. All of my dragons be doing squats. Marching a step in front of the other. All of my dragons be no monkey business. All of my dragons be D-R-A-G-O-N. What's the motto of the Dragon Army dragons? Wanna be dragons. Nobody's born a dragon. You gotta march, march, march. You gotta do my general war integrated total body training system, aka Dragon Army workout. All orders gotta be obeyed. All orders by Dragon Zero, yours truly. Rainbow Dragon General Cuckold, greatest cuckold in the universe. What am I, Dragon Army? I want the response to be the greatest cuckold in the universe. Dragon, no need to serve me. After midnight, I'm a woman. No need to serve me. After midnight, I'm a woman. What do you need to not do? Sir, you sir. After what? After midnight, sir. I'm a what? You are a woman. Who's Rainbow Dragon? Dragon Zero. Now I'm dragon. Dragon. Hey, hey. Left and right we go about. Left and right we go about. On the go we sing aloud. For the butchers, for the butchers. For the bakers, for the bakers. For the plumbers, for the plumbers. Hey, for the electricians, electricians. Hey, for the construction workers, for the construction workers. Hey, for the daycare workers, for the daycare workers. Changing diapers, changing diapers. For the plumbers, for the plumbers. For the butchers, for the butchers. For the nurses, for the nurses. For the doctors, for the doctors. For the electricians, for the electricians. Rainbow, rainbow. Let's go, let's go. Sing up, sing up. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We do the push-ups and the squats. We do the hops, we do the hops. On the tiptoe, let's go. Who are we? The Dragon Army. The Dragon Army. Who are we? The Dragon Army. We cannot be what? We cannot be bribed and we cannot be bought. We are the Dragon Army of the new union, of the new union. For our brothers and sisters in the 63. How many? 63. How many? 63 states and legions. 63 states and legions. 63 states and legions. Let your legions. How many? 63. How many? 63. Make it 66. 66 legions. 66 states. That's gonna be 16 states. For the Dragon Army, Dragon Army. Where do we march? East and west. Where do we march? East and west. We take the trains. We take the lanes. We take the buses, take the buses, take the buses, take the buses. Who are we? The Dragon Army. For the butchers, for the bakers, for the truckers, for the plumbers, for the electricians. For the electricians, for the plumbers, left and right, you know we humming. Left and right we do some push-ups, left and right we do some squats. Left and right we do the yard. Let's go coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Operation Northern Scorpion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Operation Northern Scorpion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Operation Northern Scorpion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Operation Northern Scorpion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Gotta plead and rock in motion. Gotta plead and rock in motion. Oh. Let's go to the drills. Left and right we command and kills. Left and right we command to kill. We command to kill. For the defense and the service and the service and the defense. For the defense and the service. For the defense and the service. For what? For the defense and the service, for the defense and the service. Oh, away the dragon army of the what legions? How many legions, how many states? 63 upon the plate, 63 upon the plate. Quebec, New York, Arkansas and Alabama, Nova Scotia, and the Yukon, the territory in the Texas and the Union for Virginia, north and the south for the Carolinas, all the way to Manitoba. Manitoba is Saskatchewan. Oh, away the dragon army of the legions, for the legions, for the service and security. Ain't no sending all my legions nowhere but coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Lest they come, we impale them up. Lest they come, we impale them up. Let them not cross the seas. Let them not cross the seas. Otherwise the dragons open up the skulls and drink. Otherwise we open up their skulls and drink. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Let they stay over the Atlantic and the Pacific. Lest we invite them where? In the new United States. In the kingdom of the dragons, in the kingdom of the dragons, in the kingdom of the dragons. And the dancing goddess, hail the priestess, hail the priestess, hail the priestess. Ain't no god without a goddess. Doesn't matter if you swing it for the rock and roll, we bring it. Gotta sing it for the dragons, for the black and white. Some of my dragons are black, some of my dragons are white. Oh, no, nobody is born a dragon. Nobody is born a dragon. Gotta see and left and right, gotta see and left and right. There's the truckers on the site, there's the truckers on the site. For the butchers and the plumbers. Dragon Army cadence, marching cadence, property of the Dragon Army. Rainbow Dragon, Adrian Hanna Dragon, General Cuckold, Limp Dick Dick Clit, Limp Dick Dick Clit, Clit Dick Little Scar, Rainbow Dragon. Pledge your allegiance, legions, to our family.